No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. We're going all the way so you can score more for your trade-in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV today. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Oh, how we doing? Happy Monday morning to you, Bronco Nation. Welcome on into a live episode here at Bronco Nation News Live, presented by our title sponsor, RowPaint.com, Andy Rowe and Company. Check them out. All your painting needs, ROEPaint.com. We got Mike Prater, who is in the RowPaint.com studios there in downtown Boise, 95.3 FM, The Ticket. I am in the BNN Western Collective studios here in Meridian. And Mike, nice weekend. Gonna recharge, refresh. Been a couple weekends on the road and busy. And I know you got to go take in a football game, and I got to watch some football and watch some of my kids' games. Kind of nice early season bye week here.
It was really nice, BJ, and chance to get away. And but I miss football. I mean, I'm not sure I like second or third week bye weeks, but we'll take them when we can get them. There's another one coming up in about 4 or 5 weeks. We'll see how that plays out. But it was good to kind of recharge. Watch some football, and here we are again. I think we have a football game this weekend, I think.
Yes, that is obviously the big story, I guess. The game, at least for a short time, being in doubt. I guess you could technically, still say it's in doubt until Portland State shows up. But I did my research. Pertussis, commonly known as the whooping cough. I guess the official name is pertussis. A lot of the players on Portland State's team had come down with it. It got into the Vikings team, I guess, on Thursday. Highly contagious disease that affects the lungs, and a lot of the players were exposed to it. They decided that even though nobody was seriously ill, it was better to not potentially have South Dakota have any players, be infected by it. So Portland State, South Dakota agreeing to call off their game last Saturday. So that means that Portland State coming in, with a little bit of question mark, but I did poke around last night and found out this morning that at least as of now, it's all systems go on the Boise State side for this game on Saturday, and they're expecting this game to be played on Saturday. But a little intrigue now with Portland State coming off the bye or unexpected bye week and dealing with some health issues in the locker room.
Yeah, and this probably doesn't hurt Boise State. Boise State obviously had the bye week plan. Portland State thought they could play a football game and get ready for Boise State. That didn't happen. So they've obviously been off for a couple of weeks now as well. So, let's keep our fingers crossed. And as of today, it sounds like you are reporting that it should be pretty good. I know Boise State's still planning its noon press conference with Spencer Danielson and both the coordinators. So it seems like it's all system go. These are the kind of things that probably right now, everybody says, let's wait and see how it plays out, but let's plan on playing the football game. And if by Wednesday or Thursday things are getting squirrely again, they could always call it off. But it seems like we're in good shape. I hope that we get to play the game. I hope Portland State football team is really, really healthy, and let's get back to business as usual. It gave me kind of a creepy feeling, kind of a flashback to 4 years ago when we were scheduling on 5 days notice. And I know that there was some talk about that going into this weekend. To get a game now in this situation, it was a completely different situation than COVID. So I didn't anticipate any kind of game coming in to refill it. They may have had some contingency plans, but let's just play Portland State and get that sucker out of the way and move on as quickly as we can, BJ.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would be smart to say I'm not reporting 100% this game is being played, because anything can happen. But
sure.
As of now, Portland State, I guess, has told them they're going to be good to go. And as of now, everything is all systems ahead. But if 20 players all of a sudden tomorrow come down with, test negative or positive or whatever and things change, things could change. But as of now, all systems go. As you mentioned, they will have the weekly press conference today with Spencer Danielson. And if nothing changes, then yeah, the game should be played on Saturday. And this is a big game for Boise State, Mike, because you want to get, the mojo going again. You had the bye week to kind of refresh. I don't mind the early bye week when you get two of them. I mean, if you only had one and you had it week 2 and that's it, then you got to play 10 games in a row to finish the season, which Boise State has had to do before. But yep. You play 2 road games. You win a nice road game at Georgia Southern. You'll lose a tough one at Oregon, but those first 2 weeks, you find out a lot about yourself. You see where you're at. You kind of regroup during the bye week, change some things, and then you're lock it back in for this next 4-game stretch before the next bye. So and 3 of those games are at home too. So I don't mind it, but with whether it's Ashton Genty needing to put up big numbers in this game, whether it's just wanting to get the mojo back, get Maddox Madsen back on track, like whatever you want to do. This is I'm not worried about them obviously losing the game. I haven't seen a point spread. I'm guessing it's 35, 40 points. I don't know. But in terms of when I say important game, I think it is an important game for a lot of reasons in terms of just getting yourself right here moving forward for Washington State next week.
Yeah, no, I get that. I totally get that. And with that second bye week, that first bye is a luxury, and that's exactly the way Boise State's approached this in terms of taking care of its business, fixing itself. Just because the schedule says bye does. I mean, they were working all week long. We were down there on Thursday and Friday, and there were people running around doing some stuff. So, they are practicing and getting their bodies right and all that kind of stuff. So, yesterday was off. Tonight's a practice that the media is not allowed to go to, and wake up tomorrow morning and it's kind of business as usual. So hopefully they can fine tune a few things, get better against Portland State, and then certainly dive into the meat of their football schedule.
What do you make of? There are a lot of people though that don't think maybe not a lot. That's not fair. There are a couple people, I guess, or some people that don't think Boise State should risk it and play this week against Portland State and get Ashton Genty hurt. One guy on my Twitter account, Tom Timmons, says Genty shouldn't leave the dorms on Saturday. Keep him as far away from Portland State as you can to not. I mean, any at all concern or thought about that part of it? I mean, if Portland State tells you you're good to go, you assume they're good to go, right?
All right, I'll piss off people right off the bat on Monday morning. If you're making those kinds of opinions, you're a freaking moron unless you're a part of the Portland State football family. I mean, come on. Are you making medical decisions based on sitting in your couch at home and flabbergasting your mouth on social media? If you asked me that question, I would say I have no freaking idea. I'm not in that locker room. I'm not a doctor. I have no idea what it is. I barely even know what whooping cough is. My wife's in the healthcare industry, as I know yours is as well. You probably had a conversation with your wife this weekend. What the hell is whooping cough and what does it mean? Come on, people. Don't be the weekend social media warrior. Don't be the fake doctor. Smart people are taking care of this. And if there's people down there who think Ashton Genty should stay in his dorm all weekend, they'll make that decision. I'm guessing that's not going to be the case. Be smarter people than that. Come on now.
That may not have been the craziest part of the comment. As Boise points out, who thinks Ashton Genty still lives in the dorms?
That is true. He does not. We can confirm that he does not live in the dorms, but I'm sure he lives in an apartment with we know he lives in an apartment with a couple of teammates, but Everybody's going to be
other guys. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's fine, guys. If the doctors say that there's no agenda here, there's no politics, stop being a moron and let the experts be experts. And if they say we're good to go, we're good to go.
As It's Keaton says, they're going to watch 5 minutes of film on Ashton Genty and then desperately try to test positive. Maybe that's the bigger issue here.
Maybe on Wednesday after watching 2 more days of Genty film, they're going to say, yeah, we are sick and we're canceling this game as well.
It is weird when your team doesn't play, or you just have this weekend where there's no game because you're kind of forgotten about it a little bit, and you see some of the other teams win, and Memphis gets I was going to say nice win against Florida State. I don't know what you can call it. I mean, Florida State's terrible, but again, you win at Doak Campbell Stadium. Any road win at Florida State, I will say is for a Group of 5 program is a nice win, no matter how bad they are. You had some other teams, Northern Illinois, obviously coming off the win last week. They're ranked now in the top 25. Some other nice wins. UNLV takes down my Jayhawks. That was tough to watch.
They're ranked in the top 25 for the first time in history, right?
Yeah, and that's going to be a big. You look at their schedule too. I mean, that's going to be that game in a couple weeks in Vegas, about a little over a month or so. That's going to be a very intriguing game. They've got Fresno. They got their bye week now. This week, UNLV. And then they got Fresno State, and then they host Syracuse. They're at Utah State, at Oregon State. So very curious what UNLV does from here, because I think that they a lot of people, myself included, thought when the quarterback transferred and, maybe they kind of caught lightning in a bottle last year, that'd be a little bit of a step back for UNLV. But that's a really nice win. I think Kansas, hate to say it, just should have won the game. They had the 4 guys couldn't fall in the fumble, and they played absolutely terrible. But it was a nice win for UNLV on the road, and their schedule sets up nicely. Like that game in Vegas at the end of next month, setting up to be a monster game with maybe more than just Mountain West, leader implications on the line.
Yeah, I mean, UNLV and Washington State are coming up in the next 4 or 5 games for Boise State, and those might be the 2 toughest opponents on this schedule. So I love what UNLV is doing, and maybe it was just blind faith. I had UNLV number 2 in my preseason poll just because I believe in Barry Odom. I think he's done a fantastic job of responsibly juggling the transfer portal, bringing in players when he has to without completely selling his soul for the future of this program. And I really think he's a really good coach. Yeah, they got lucky in that game. That fumble would have I thought about you when I saw that, BJ. That would just drive a fan crazy, that kind of behavior, as well as a coach. But I love what UNLV is doing, and I think they're legit. And a Friday night with Boise State in that stadium, and if they keep on going and winning a couple of these games, then that's going to be just an absolutely beautiful experience. Maybe the timing is right for UNLV to go off and just dominate. Because I know, and we're going to talk about the Pac-2, 12, whatever it is these days, and UNLV. But you know what? They don't make decisions based on one football season and a couple of wins. But if UNLV can continue to dominate, and I think you and I both would love to see UNLV and Boise State in the same conference moving forward for all kinds of reasons. I'm kind of rooting for UNLV right now, at least for these next few weeks, to keep the train going, certainly into that Friday night game against Boise State.
UNLV, one of the few teams in the Mountain West that got a win over the weekend. The league went 3-8. Fresno State gets a 48-0 win over New Mexico State. And then the only other team in the conference to get a win, San Jose State, beats Kennesaw State. So your 2 other wins were, you beat Kennesaw State and you beat New Mexico State. A lot of other games you weren't really necessarily supposed to win. It was a lot of bye games and things like that. In terms of San Diego State getting blasted at Cal 31-10. BYU takes Wyoming down 34-14. Colorado wins 28-9 over Colorado State. Air Force loses to Baylor 31-3. New Mexico goes and loses 45-19 at Auburn. Hawaii goes to Sam Houston State and loses 31-13. Nevada scoreless. They go to Minnesota and lose 27-0. And then a game that you actually were there reporting on for Bronco Nation News and KTIK. Mike Prater was in Logan, Utah, and sees number 12 Utah take down Utah State 38-21.
Does that mean I can turn expenses in for you, BJ? That was a very expensive trip. It's always hard to find a liquor store. No, I'm just joking. Not only was it really, really bad for the Mountain West in terms of the 3-8, I was doing Prater math just before we jumped on this show. The closest loss of those 8 losses was 17 points. They lost those 8 games the Mountain West did this weekend by a combined margin of 22 points. They got their ass kicked all over the place. And now for the entire season, the Mountain West, which usually has a winning record in the non-conference, even if you include the Power 5 opponents, they always finish the non-conference with somewhere around 500, 600% winning streak. Right now, non-conference, the Mountain West is 14-20. They've lost 20 of 34 non-conference games, and they're 2-10, because UNLV has the 2 Power 5 wins. They're 2-10 against Power 5 competition this year. I don't really want to sit here and say this might be the worst that the Mountain West football's ever been, but in terms of results and performance on the field, it ranks up there. This could be one of the worst Mountain West football seasons of all time. There's no individual stars in this conference outside of maybe a couple here in Boise. I don't think there's any good football teams outside of maybe UNLV. Fresno State will get its act together and be competitive maybe, but this conference right now is really, really bad, BJ.
Hey, had a good weekend, as I said, and part of it was thanks to Kerry Pruitt and Western Collective stocking the beer fridge out on the patio, watching some football this weekend. Make sure you check out Western Collective, their seltzers, their beers, so many great options. I love the Horseshoe Golden Ale, and again, they don't make a donation with every purchase to the Horseshoe Collective to help the collective there at Boise State. So head on out to your local grocery stores and retailers. Check out all of Western Collective's products, and again, they have the Garden City and downtown location as well. Make sure you check them out. Western Collective, our studio sponsor here at Bronco Nation News. Title sponsor is rowpaint.com. Whether it be the concrete coatings, whether it be the interior, exterior painting, all your painting needs, you make sure you need to hit up our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. And again, perfect time as the weather starts to cool down. Get that back patio done. Highly recommend it. It'll change it. It transforms it, and it's done in one day. And you can turn that ugly-looking concrete slab into a very nice, fancy-looking professional patio with our friends at rowpaint.com. So check them out. Give them a call. Check them out online, 991-0567. And again, roepaint.com, our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Thursday night, how about this? Looking forward to this on Thursday at 8 o'clock. We're going to have Tyson Degenhart turning the tables a little bit. The guys from the Field of 68, Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster, are going to be the special guests. So Tyson will be interviewing them. Looking forward to that. So we'll get some national college basketball talk and having fun with Jeff Goodman, one of the top college basketball insiders around. He'll be a guest on the Tyson Degenhart Show. Tyson Degenhart in Lindy's magazine, Mike Prater checks in as the number 21 overall player in the country heading into the 2024 season here. So Boise State basketball fans, at least according to one publication, you have a top 25 basketball player. You're number 21. You're pushing potential All-American type status if you can, live up to the hype here this season. So Thursday night, 8 o'clock, the Tyson Degenhart Show, presented by our friends at Idaho Central Credit Union. Matt Boucher Real Estate, check him out as well. Matt Boucher and Boucher Real Estate, the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Boucher, and he can help you out. Again, 243-8222 online at BoucherRealEstate.com. And Ridley's Family Markets, shop Ridley's.com. Check them out. 13 locations around the state of Idaho, the surrounding states. Highly recommend if you're heading up to McCall for the weekend, just stopping off there at the Ridley's right there as you pull into town. They got one in Cuna. They got all over the Treasure Valley, Magic Valley. Check them out and download that Skip app. Save up to 40% off at the checkout line. Shop Ridley's.com and our friends at Ridley's Family Markets. All right, Mike, I do want to talk Pac-2, but I want to talk Boise State for a few more minutes here first. This game on Saturday, like I said, it's been kind of a week off and all the crazy Pac-12 stuff happened. So now it's time to kind of get back to football and X's and O's and this team getting better and what we want to see. I guess, is there anything in particular you want to hear from Spencer Danielson today or Dirk Cutter today at the press conference? And then going into the game this Saturday, what's just your general thoughts on again, we're not expecting the game itself to be close, but what are you looking for in this matchup with Portland State?
Just, the typical, stereotypical, bye-week, big-time non-conference blowout. Just come in and be efficient. Come in and be a good football team. Come in and stay injury-free because they, knock on wood, outside of maybe some offensive linemen, they've been in pretty good shape so far this year. These aren't the kind of games you want to lose a player. I want to see Ashton Genty dominate the first half, and I want to see some quarterback play in the second half. If indeed this is a blowout, I wouldn't mind seeing Malachi Nelson. And, they're not going to change any kind of a game plan or come up with any kind of thing different for Malachi or Maddox, they're just going to play the game. And once the game starts, if the second half rolls around, then Boise State's in control. We might see a little bit of garbage time, but I'd like to see a little bit of that. So just the typical, operate your business, do what you have to do, get in and out of this game as quickly as possible. I think Boise State's paying Portland State, $450,000, $500,000? I can't remember the exact number, but close to a $500,000 for this game. Write the check, stay healthy, and get ready to move on for a bigger game and bigger schedule down the road.
This should be the first game with the new sound system as well on Saturday. Looking forward to checking that out. I saw that those were in there, and they were testing those last couple of weeks. So the new sound system is in 7:45, so you should get the light show at least at some point going to the third to fourth quarter. So all the game day improvements they've been making, Mike Prater, should be on full display on Saturday as well. The home opener is always fun. 2 games on the road. A bye week has made fans wait even longer than typical. You wait all 8 months to go to a game at your home stadium, and you got to wait a couple extra weeks. But they're continuing to improve. What I mentioned, the new lights, the new sound system, the new video board in year number 2 now, and the home opener is always a fun one, regardless of who you play.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be close to a sellout. We'll certainly monitor those a little bit, but it's going to be close to a sellout. I think it's going to be a perfectly wonderful fall night. And, the Boise State fan base, the last fan base in all of college football to be able to watch their home team play a football game. So that's a pretty cool thing. I think it's going to be a fantastic day. This is exactly why you're a Boise State football fan. You can get down there at noon without scrambling. You can be down there for 6 hours and hang out and tailgate on a glorious Saturday afternoon and all the smells and sounds and tastes and everything that goes on, and then get your butt in there for a football game. And I'd forgotten about the lights. That's pretty cool. And yeah, we're going to see a heavy dose of that. I think it's just going to be a fun celebration of where Boise State football has been through a lot, man, a lot. And to be able to enjoy 6 college football Saturdays at home, this is what it's all about, because the fans are tired of the other crap. 349 days or 59 days a year. They got to put up with a lot of crap about college football this and the college football that, and lots of divide. But 6 Saturdays, you get to show up, and I think this Saturday is going to be a glorious day.
What, again, this game in particular, we're not expecting to be close, but you got Washington State on the horizon next Saturday. You got Utah State coming up, and then at Hawaii before the second bye here. So this next kind of 4-game stretch, for them to go win these 4 games, kind of reset at the next bye, going into that Vegas game, at 5-1. Is that we made a big deal last week about the quarterback situation. I know one of your clips kind of went viral, and you had people, including our own Brad Bedell, commenting and stuff. But I mean, is that, I assume with the bye week, it seems like that's kind of quieted down a little bit, and we're expecting Maddox Madsen to be the guy. Like, is there anything that Dirk Cutter is going to say today, or Spencer Danielson, or questions that you or the media members will have for them in terms of, the quarterback situation going forward? Or are we all just kind of, taking a deep breath and realizing that it's Maddox Madsen and it's going to continue to be Maddox Madsen?
I think so. I think it's the latter half. That's not the sexy answer, but I think so. And you know how those guys operate down there. They don't care if they're playing Alabama or Portland State. They kind of do the same thing, operate. And I really, truly believe that they do. They're kind of in that mindset of just every week's the same. And I don't think this week's going to be any different. It's not like they're sitting around talking about, okay, what are we going to do in garbage time with the quarterback? And, they're experienced football players or coaches, and they know. And we can sit here in the media. This is how I want the game to go. I want Boise State to dominate the first half. I want Maddox Madsen to come out, probably start the second half, maybe one series, depending on what the score is. And then I want to see Malachi Nelson play the entire second half beyond that, with the ones, for the most part, especially the ones offensive line. I'm not so much worried about the running back position or Ashton or wide receivers. They can go deep into those rooms and get all kinds of people the ball. But the offensive line, the number 1 guys, whatever that is left of that after 2 big injuries over the weekend. But yeah, I just want it to be smooth. I want to see the quarterbacks. This is the perfect time. This competition, according to Spencer Danielson and Dirk Cutter, and according to our eyes, was close enough that Malachi Nelson deserves some playing time. This is the perfect time to do it, because I want to see what he is. I want to see what he's got. The closest thing that we have so far is a really nice performance in the spring game. That doesn't count. I need to see Malachi Nelson play live. Malachi Nelson hasn't played a live real football game in almost 2 years. 2 years. And the last time he played a football game, he was the number 1 quarterback in the country, his high school postseason, and he got beat 56-0. That's the last time Malachi Nelson played a football game for real, November of 2022. And, he needs some playing time somewhere down the road. And if it can't happen this weekend, something seriously went wrong this Saturday.
A lot of comments coming in. We appreciate those. Nate Staley says, let Jenny get his 250 yards from scrimmage in the first half and then pull him. Heisman campaign. So it is a big game for him to potentially put up some big numbers, but obviously probably not going to see Ashton Jeanty for all 4 quarters.
No, and I don't know if you even need to see a steady dose of him. I mean, if he gets 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, that's going to be fine. He doesn't need to go crazy, but if he does, hey, bring it on. That's pretty cool. You go 250 against Portland State, that's nice. But the smart people, the people who vote for Heisman's, the people that kind of take this stuff for real would say, well, it's against Portland State, so he's not going to get that much of a bump out of that. But just go out there and be Ashton Jeanty and let those stats take care of themselves, and he'll be just fine this weekend.
Speaking of stats, Nate Staley wants them to be kneeling the kickoff to the 2-yard line, so Jeanty has more field to get rushing yards here moving forward in this game.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous idea.
No need to fair catch it in the end zone. Just come out to the 2 so Jeanty can get more yards.
He's doing just fine on his own without gimmicky coaches and stuff that could backfire. And hopefully he was just joking because it's fun to be a fan when Ashton Jeanty's your running back. And I think that's pretty cool. And we all want to see Ashton Jeanty run. Let me go back to what I just said. We get 6 of these. That's 5 and 1, 6 of these suckers. And I want fans to be able to relish every single carry that Ashton Jeanty gets in these 6 home games.
Let's see here. Oh, by the way, Ray's asking if we have a kickoff time yet for the Washington State game. That will come this morning. That should come today, unless they do they get 1 or 2 options a year to do like a 6-day hold where they wait till the end of the weekend to decide. But I think they can pretty much project Boise State's going to win this Saturday against Portland State. So at least on their side, there's no need to wait on that. So I would suspect by around noon or so, noon, 1 p.m., maybe 10, 11, they kind of come out at different times. We should get the Washington State game time today, but with 2 West Coast teams, Mike Prater, I would be surprised if it wasn't starting before 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I anticipate it to be a night game, and then obviously next Monday we should get the Utah State game as well. That one I'm not quite sure if that's going to be a night game or a day game, but I fully expect the Washington State game to be a night game.
Cameron's wondering if we think Washington State game could be College game day. I don't think so. They no. Boise State would have to be undefeated and ranked. They'd have to be undefeated and ranked, but also the fact that, which is one of the things I hope changes in this Pac-12 deal, is get some games back on ESPN somehow. But it just seems like if your conference is not on and the game is not on it's not impossible if the game's not on there if it's a top 10 matchup, but if you're a group of 5 team trying to host College game day, you don't even air your league doesn't even have a deal with the conference. You ain't getting the game. No chance.
I would agree with that. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive next week, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after the Washington State weekend that you're talking about, Georgia plays at Alabama.
Yeah, you can go ahead and yep, that's what Nate said. Alabama plays Georgia that day. What do you make of the group of, and again, we are in the final segment, going to talk about the Pac-12 stuff here in a minute, but what do you make of the current kind of group of 5 race for that 5th conference champion spot in the playoff? And again, you have to win your conference championship. So UNLV could be ahead of Boise State right now, and it doesn't matter if Boise State beats them in the conference championship game. Yep. UNLV is not eligible to get that spot. But I mentioned some of the results, and this is not just this weekend. This is, all season. You've had Memphis beating Florida State, UNLV beating Houston and Kansas, Northern Illinois beating Notre Dame, Toledo waxing Mississippi State, Washington State beating Washington, Georgia State taking down Vandy, Boise hanging close with Oregon. There's been some other ones as well. But like a Northern Illinois was a team that nobody gave any thought to. They go beat Oregon, or they go beat Notre Dame. They all of a sudden will have the best win of any of those teams if they can win their conference. So it's going to be a very interesting thing. Again, 5 teams are eligible plus, because Washington State, they're just eligible for an at-large. They're not. That's not a conference, right? Of 2 teams.
Correct.
So that kind of hurts them a little bit because they would have had a chance if they with the Washington win, and who knows what they end up doing. But overall, you got Memphis, UNLV, Boise State. Where are you kind of at on the group of 5 bid right now? I know the ESPN, I don't know what they call it, their FPI or their projection thing for records or whatever. They were kind of showing all weekend on the games. Boise State, I think about 26% is still the leader in terms of their analytics. Boise State's the slight leader to get to the college football playoff from the group of 5. But what do you make of that race right now?
Yeah, Memphis is obviously really, really good, but they've got, if you look at their schedule, they got a brutal schedule. Not a brutal schedule, but they got a lot of landmines in front of them at Navy, at Tulane to finish the season. I believe they play at UTSA, Texas San Antonio, which is getting some soft, lukewarm love in some of these conversations. So there's some tricky landmines for Memphis. If you look at Northern Illinois' schedule, and their work is done in terms of just a big accomplishment, their schedule is really, really weak here at this point. So I can't wait to see it. I mean, it's going to be that classic cat and mouse game. Are they going to keep winning, and they're going to keep winning against bad teams? And how's that going to compare against a Boise State or a Memphis who's winning these tough games? We know that Liberty, unfortunately, is lurking out there as well. So it's clearly a Northern Illinois Memphis race right now with Boise State lurking. We'll see how that plays out. But, I think there's some good intrigue. I mean, we're only 2-3 weekends into the season, and already there's some group of five watch stuff going on that's pretty compelling. So I like it, but keep an eye on Memphis and their schedule moving forward. I can't remember who they have this weekend. As a matter of fact, it's they're at Navy this weekend, a 1:30 CBS Sports Network type of game. So I suppose that could always be a little bit tricky, but I'm keeping a close eye on Memphis. To me, Memphis seems like the best of all of them, but Northern Illinois' schedule is terrible, and they could certainly run that table. And a win over Notre Dame with an undefeated schedule is very problematic for Boise State.
No doubt about it. All right, Snake River Pool and Spa, thespateam.com. You're looking for a spa for the back patio, they can take care of you. But if you're looking for a pool table for the game room, they got that too. Oh, the awesome showrooms there. Go on in, check them out. Locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. Been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. Check them out. Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio and Game online at thespateam.com. We had fun on Friday over at Bora High School, raising money for the cheer and dance team for the Bora High School with Lithia Ford of Boise. 300 test drives. They had 7 or 8 Boise State football players out there. We had a couple of them on the show, had some fun talking to Ahmed Hassanin and Matt Lauder and Jonah Dalmas. It was a fun show on Friday, so hope you made it over there and were able to test drive a vehicle. They raised over $6,000 on that event for the cheer and dance team at Bora High School, so that was cool. They had Mike, to do your test drive. You didn't need the Lithia Ford employee in the car. They were letting the football players just go for the ride, so you got a chance to just literally get in the car with Jonah Dalmas and drive around town for 10 minutes.
Nice.
It was a cool little thing they did, and then each test drive they gave Lithia Ford gave $20 to Bora High School, and they raised I think $6,000. So pretty cool. Hope you had fun. We appreciate those guys coming on the show, and we appreciate our friends over at Lithia Ford of Boise. Taco Bell. We're going to get out and do a look on. They're all fighting me. I got Prater, I got Johnny, I got Tuss. Everybody wants the free meal at Taco Bell when we do the live show there. So I got to figure out who gets the winning bid to go do the show at Taco Bell and get some free food. TacoBellWorks.com, but we will be doing a show at some point in the near future from the Broadway location down there at Taco Bell. SON Management Group, the Nicolason family, we appreciate them. Check them out, and they're hiring. You looking for a job? Check them out. They got great promotional opportunities, free food while you work, half the wages the next day after your shift. Check them out, one of the Treasure Valley Taco Bell locations, and again, great, cheap, affordable, delicious food as well. Check them out, our friends at Taco Bell. I mentioned if you're looking for a job, the trucking industry is a big one as well. Check them out, TCS, transcompservice.com. All the paperwork and things you need to get in there and get, towing that first load in no time. They can help you out, transcompservice.com. The Blue and Orange store, you need that gear. Do we know the color scheme for Saturday, Mike? I should know this. But the Blue and Orange store.com has you covered. All your Boise State gear. We appreciate Travis Hawks and company there at the Blue and Orange store for helping us out. So if you need some new gear for the season, you need that sweatshirt as the weather starts to get a little cool here. Hats, jackets, sweatshirts, they got you covered. Bumper stickers, car flags, those logo golf balls. They got everything you're looking for in terms of Boise State. I know there's a lot of selections, a lot of places you can go buy your gear out there, but if you want the most comprehensive, best, thorough, and at the best prices, check out our friends at the Blue and Orange store. And again, online, you can order from anywhere in the world at the Blue and Orange store.com. Mike, probably would have, if they had a game over the weekend today, you probably would have got your 91-cent coffee and soft drink from Ahmed Hassanin at Jackson's, but no games, so you'll have to get this next Monday. So hopefully on Saturday, Ahmed Hassanin can get a sack against Portland State, and then you get a 91-cent coffee or fountain drink on the Monday after the game from our friends at Jackson's. They've also got the Breezy bundle going. We'll see, Mike, after the bye week, if Breezy Dubar is able to get in there and play on Saturday against Portland State. This would seem to be a game, if you don't want to play Ashton Genty a ton, to get a guy like Breezy Dubar some action. If he gets in the end zone, you get the Breezy bundle, a hot dog and a soda for $1 on Tuesdays after the game at Jackson. So check out the Breezy bundle. Check out the Ahmed Hassanin sacks, and we appreciate our friends at Jackson's. And again, they're sponsors of the Riddle and Ridge show, which will Riley and Ridge show, which will be coming up tomorrow night live on location from our great spot there at the James. And one final plug for Lean Feast, another feed in the football team and the basketball team. Check them out, leanfeastmeridian.com. 10,000 plus combinations, all healthy, delicious, great food. Check them out, leanfeastmeridian.com, and all different diets. It's good for 5 days in the refrigerator, and then all it takes is 2 minutes in the microwave, and you're eating steak and shrimp and whatever else you want. All kinds of great combinations. And again, they got deals with a lot of your favorite football players, including Ahmed Hassanin, including Tyson Tegenhart on the basketball side. So if you want to eat the same meals that your favorite athletes are eating, check out leanfeastmeridian.com. All right, Mike, we're a couple days removed now from the announcement. 6 teams into the Pac-12. The Oregon State athletic director, Scott Barnes, who, by the way, I believe was at Utah State at one time, so has some familiarity with the league, gave a press conference on Saturday before their game against Oregon, which, by the way, Oregon looked pretty good in that game, which doesn't hurt Boise State for how close they hung with them in that game. But, he had some interesting takeaways. He said they want to go anywhere from 2 to 4 teams. Much to my disappointment, he did say that you have to play football to be part of this, which means no Gonzaga for basketball, no St. Mary's for basketball, which, I think is a mistake. I think you get a couple solid football teams, get you to 9 for football and then get to 11 for basketball. And I would think that Gonzaga makes a ton of sense for this conference if you want to try to get some national cachet on the basketball side. But for right now, at least, they're saying you have to play football. They listed all these different, categories and things they're looking at, but he did say that they have signed, and again, we're still waiting for this document with all the particulars of the financial situation, Mike, for the buyout and things, but he says that these teams have already signed a long-term, was his phrase, grant of rights for the media side. So these 6 teams have bonded together for the quote long term and have signed away their media rights, to this new Pac-12 league. So a lot of intrigue in terms of the details of this whenever a lot of these documents come out.
Yeah, this is going to be early. This is going to be a process, and I'm not sure how you can sign a very a tight knit grant of rights deal when you don't even have a media rights package yet. So I think anything's on the table, up to and including. And I'm not trying to dispute what Scott Barnes said, but anything can change. These things are fluid. I still think that there's a chance that they could, dabble with Gonzaga. Stop with the St. Mary's talk. That's ridiculous. St. Mary's adds nothing, and they don't need to come if Gonzaga comes. Gonzaga does build your basketball credibility. And I think there is a small, Hail Mary chance that they could figure out a way to get Gonzaga in there. Gonzaga has to be itching to go somewhere, and I don't think this is a terrible landing spot for their basketball team. Football-wise, it is what it is. And, he talked about, there's no geographic boundaries. We're going to go anywhere and everywhere. So I think all these teams that we're throwing out there are on the table. He certainly probably wants to go east a little bit. So, I thought it was a decent press conference, but not a lot of stuff came out of it. I was very intrigued when he said football members only, but these things are going to happen in phases, guys. This is almost like everybody's criticizing last week, not everybody. Some people are criticizing this move last week. It's not done. It's like the first quarter of a very long process in terms of going out and getting teams and getting the television media rights package. And I talk about it as a football coach on Saturdays, playing hard, fast, and aggressive. And you do it one play at a time because a football game is a process. And what happened last week is the first quarter of many, 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 many decisions. And it may look ugly in the first quarter, but at the end of the day, all you're looking for here is a victory. And Jeremiah Dickey and the Mountain West, they're playing hard, fast, aggressive. They made themselves better. Was it by just a couple of points, a couple of steps? Yeah. But if they continue to do that, a couple of steps and a couple of points here and there, all of a sudden you got yourself a 16-point victory, and it doesn't look so bad. So again, the process of getting teams, the process of media rights packages, the process of cementing all that and making everybody commit for a long term, that stuff is going to happen over the next year. And we're in the media business. We can be impatient sometimes. Fans can be more impatient, but just think of it as a football game, guys. We're only in the first quarter, and the coaches are still making play calls, and we're still trying to figure some of this stuff out.
Yeah, and in terms of I lost my train of thought. You look at the different teams in this thing though, and they're talking about who's next and what might happen and who's going to come. And I think that if I had to handicap it right now, it sounds like there's a lot of buzz around Memphis. I'd be curious. Just seems like every time you see it, maybe it's just blowhards in the media like us just throwing out names out there. But every time somebody says who are the possibilities, Memphis is one of the teams that comes up. I don't think Tulane does a lot for me. I don't really care about Tulane. It sounds like maybe you get Memphis and Tulane together because it lets you have, another central time zone team. And again, they've had a couple of good football seasons, but I'm not, recently at least, and I'm just not, totally intrigued by them. But I mean, if you went and got Memphis and Tulane, and I guess UNLV, and what I was going to say is, you're exactly right, because people are saying, what do you think about this? I'm like, well, let's see. And I think I said this on your show on Friday. It's like, let's see what the final 8 or 9 teams looks like. Like, if you get the right teams, you could say this is great. If you have to settle with Utah State and whoever, then you're like, no, this isn't a great opportunity for them. So let's wait and see what the 9 teams are before we really have final judgment on this. But if it was Memphis, Tulane, and UNLV, and that got them to 9, are you okay with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And if I had a choice, because I'm with you, Tulane, come on, really, guys? That's like St. Mary's in basketball. It just doesn't. I mean, they're nice, they're cute, but you know what? I'm just not interested in. I don't know about the geographics, but all the rules are out the door in terms of that nonsense. If Prater was in charge, and if somebody who's smart out there needs to put Prater in charge, this is exactly what I'd do. Even though I kind of ripped on UNLV a little bit last week and the saturation of that market and the commitment to that athletic department in this market, they can't keep a president. They can't keep an athletic director. They can't keep the future of this athletic department sustainable for many, many years to come. They're not spending millions and millions and millions trying to be aggressive. They're just holding on into survivor mode, and they got themselves a football coach that makes them relevant right now, and the basketball program is up and down. So it's got warts. But if I had to pick, I want UNLV and I want Memphis. And you're right. Jeremiah Dickey has said 2, 3, or 4. Scott Barnes said up to 4 in terms of teams that they want to add. I think you just go out and get 2 for right now. There's only 2 teams that can make a difference for me personally, UNLV and Memphis. And if you give me UNLV Memphis with the 6 that we have right now, that's not a bad conference. It's not great. It's not going to change college football. It's not going to create this massive buzz. I think that's a really nice conference. Boise State improved itself with like-minded teams that are investing in the future of their athletic departments. They have great success, passionate fan bases. I'm so sick of having to watch you go to football games in Mountain West stadiums that are half empty. From now on, you're not going to even be considered unless you could put in 75 to 90% of your stadium full people every single game, every Saturday, every single season. And that's the kind of commitment that you're looking for when it comes to this future decision. So everybody else, it just doesn't work for me. UNLV, maybe. Memphis, absolutely. Tulane, no thank you.
Yeah, you wonder if Memphis ends up being the only team that's, you're going to have Colorado State, but then you're going to have, just a 1,000-mile gap or whatever, and Memphis is going to kind of be floating out there by themselves. So
yeah.
With charter flights and everything, it doesn't matter as much, but obviously this is for all sports, and you would wonder for Memphis' sake if there's at least one team that you can have a little bit closer for some of these other sports to maybe have travel partners for volleyball or whatever else. But I mean, Memphis isn't, it's over there, but it's not, Florida or something. It's more towards the middle of the country still, and you can probably make it work. What if the Board of Regents or whatever they are, the State Board of Education in the state of Nevada says if you want UNLV, you have to take Nevada? What would you do there?
Well, you don't have much of a choice, but I don't think that that's the case. I know there's a lot of people talking about the political ties, and maybe there are, but as far as I know, and I did some small amount of reporting on this week, it's not written. There's not a state law. Yeah. It's not a mandate, but it's more of the political stuff. And I go back to what they did at Oregon when Oregon and Oregon State did this. Again, when Oregon and Oregon State, the word that they were going to split up in different conferences, we had this exact same conversation. And legislators in that state, Beavers versus Ducks, standing up behind podiums in a state house with a suit and tie, debating whether they should do it or not. At the end of the day, Oregon was able to do whatever the hell it wanted to do. Maybe put up a fight politically, but you know what? That's not going to happen in Nevada. If indeed UNLV gets an invite, they could go. And there might be some lawmakers squabbling and crying and this kind of stuff, but that's not the ultimate end decision-making here. I think that's more of a convenient excuse to say, that's why UNLV didn't get invited. Yeah, they could win that fight if they had to. I'm not too much worried about that one. I hope they do. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see UNLV, even though they would probably be the weak link in that conference moving forward. I would love to see UNLV into the new improved Pac-12.
Well, yeah, and we joked about it last week, but I'm always, 4 or 5 paid work trips a year to Vegas. I'm not, that would stink to lose that for sure. So it just, I know you mentioned the whole other pro sports teams are getting saturated and all that, but it still makes too much sense for Vegas to be in. I mean, they need to be in this conference. They're still a premier. We've been talking about them possibly being, a sleeper, and the Big 12 should be looking at them and all this stuff in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. I mean, they're still a brand, and they're in a big city, and they're easy to get to. And I still think that they probably make sense in this league. And I'll be very curious what else they decide to do. And you do have the wild card with the ACC. If that implodes, as somebody commented on, who knows what's going to happen. I don't think it's likely. I've read a lot about in terms of, Cal and Stanford kind of thumbing their nose at, being in the same conference at Fresno, and that's not going to happen. But I guess there's if the ACC blows up, all bets are off, I guess. And who knows with that lawsuit, just keep that in mind, what could happen there.
And that's part of what I said too about the process. That's a fourth quarter move, guys. And obviously anything's possible. By the time this show ends, we could have a decision on the legal cases between Florida State and Clemson and the ACC, or we could sit here for the next 2 years waiting for that court resolution to happen. So the Pac-12 is in full-blown, full steam ahead mode. They want to go now. It's short-term thinking and go build. And that thing could go on forever. So you're not out there pursuing Cal and Stanford. You're pursuing the UNLVs and the Memphises of the world. And then you're going to get yourself a nice, tight, cozy little 8-team conference. And then 2 years from now, 1 year from now, if the legal situation implodes and Cal and Stanford find themselves to be orphan football programs, then you can make that decision. That's not going to be the Pac-12's next move, because the legal system with the ACC is going to go on for a long, long time. And there's no way in hell that the Boise States and the Pac-12s of the world are going to sit around and wait for that to happen.
Bronco 130 says, how does the move to the Pac impact BNN? Are there any media restrictions with the new conference you have to overcome? I think it's nothing but a positive for BNN. Boise State's moving into a better situation, which means more interest and more viewers, and that's evident by the 240 of you watching on YouTube right now. By the way, hit that like button in the corner of the screen. We'd love to have a like button and a subscription on YouTube. We're over 5,600 YouTube subscribers. We've added about 600 YouTube subscribers since fall camp began, so the channel is taken off, and we'd love to have you join in. Bronco Nation News, if you're watching on Facebook or X, it's just youtube.com/Bronco Nation News. But yes, please like the video, please subscribe to our channel, and we do this every day at 9 a.m. here on Bronco Nation News. Prater, I know it's Monday, you haven't had your meeting yet, but what can you tell us about today's Idaho Sports Talk?
We're going to be talking to Spencer Danielson, Dirk Cutter. We're going to be talking to Eric Shenander. We're going to get after that. We're chasing Pac-12 Commissioner Teresa Gould. By the way, Teresa Gould, and I didn't realize this until like last Thursday or Friday, and I can't remember if I mentioned it on the show or not. Teresa Gould is married to Ron Gould, who's a former Boise State football coach, a longtime football coach, former UC Davis head coach, if I remember right. He's now the running backs coach for the Los Angeles Rams, but Ron Gould was here, and I got to know Ron pretty well, even on a personal level a little bit. What a great dude that guy was. He was here for Pokey Allen and maybe even for Houston Nutt for 1 year before he kind of ventured off into these other things. But we're chasing Teresa Gould to try to get her thoughts on Boise State and the future of this Pac-12 and just diving into this football game. We're happy to have a football game back, and I don't care if it's Portland State or Alabama. It's pretty exciting that we finally get a home game here in Boise. It's going to be a wonderful week, BJ.
We will stream the Spencer Danielson press conference live at noon on Bronco Nation News. So come on back to the YouTube channel at BNN at noon for Spencer Danielson, Eric Shenander, and Dirk Cutter. And then at 3 o'clock, make sure you turn on Idaho Sports Talk 3 to 6 today. Bob, Johnny, JP, Prater, the whole crew will take you home 3 to 6. That's 95.3 FM, 1350 AM. And online, obviously, is the spot. A lot of you can listen outside of Boise at KTIK.com. So, Mike, appreciate your time as always on a Monday. We'll see you in 2 hours for the Spencer Danielson press conference. Again, we'll air it live at noon, and then you can listen to Prater 3 to 6 on Idaho Sports Talk. Appreciate it, Mike.
Thanks, BJ. Have a great week, bud.
Thank you guys for liking the video, subscribing to our channel. $50 gets you a year subscription at BNN at BroncoNationNews.com. We'd love to have you do that as well. Just use that promo code BNN50 deal. Have a great rest of your Monday. We'll talk to you soon. Spencer Danielson coming up at noon on Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com.